Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Green Dragon Podcast. Excited to introduce to you today Dane Hagestad, a good friend of mine, and Ryan, who is back on the show. So it's just going to be a conversation about things on our minds, touch on a few different things that they're doing for work, and yeah, welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.
Welcome back, Ryan.
Yeah, I know. I kind of forgot that I had been on here before, and then I was like, wait a second, I've been here before.
Yeah.
What were you on for? How long ago was that?
That was back in I want to say July,
Yeah.
maybe June. It was kind of I don't know. We kind of bounced around a lot. It was pretty yeah, just kind of free flow conversation.
Sweet.
Yeah,
It was after
enjoyed
you graduated.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
It was about your thesis idea, like the idea of mythology.
Right. That's right. We talked a lot about mythology.
Awesome.
That's pretty cool.
That's sweet. That's sweet. Well, so this is my first podcast that I've ever appeared on. So what are the kinds of things that we talk about on here?
That's a good question. Well,
Why does a green dragon exist?
that's a great question. So well, when Aiden and I started Lifeline, we were essentially trying to make a way for people to find their roots as Americans, like understanding our history. What is the American spirit? What's the patriotic identity that we want to have? And so he came up with the idea with podcasts, like as a way for long form content.
Yeah.
And we came up with the Green Dragon from the tavern that the Sons of Liberty met at, and where Paul Revere started his ride from.
Oh, sweet.
So it was kind of like the birthplace for America, essentially.
Okay.
And like taverns back in the day were like the place for meeting and talking about ideas.
Yeah.
And then now it's like podcasts, so you can do it from long distances away and
Right.
kind of record what's going on. So we're like, what if we just turn that idea into a modern day tavern,
Yeah.
a podcast?
Oh, absolutely.
And then now our slogan for the show is Conversations with America's Next Generation.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially just saying like what is the younger generation thinking about when it comes to our country, to living life in America, like big ideas like how do we structure our lives most to growing closer to God
Yeah.
and all those types of things. So
Nice.
it's pretty much touches on everything.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah.
Checking a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Right on. And that's fantastic. What have been your like what mostly do you guys talk about? Like you're talking about everything, growing closer to God, being an American in today.
Mhm.
So then what have been kind of some themes in the last, I don't know, few people that you've had on here, or just the last few conversations that you've had? Like what is America's next generation thinking about right now?
That's a good question. So probably one of our main themes is we do like these Foundations of Freedom episodes where just walking through history and understanding our present day back in the light of our history.
Yeah.
With conversations from guests, I would say the general theme is big questions people have been having in their minds.
Okay.
And then a lot to do with like navigating the future.
Okay.
Because there's so many factors that are in our lives every day, especially now with the turmoil going on. It's like, well, how do you figure out plans to make sure that your life stays the way you want it to amongst all these different circumstantial changes?
So a lot of people have on their mind just like, how do I live stable in what I'm doing?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. I was listening to a little bit on, I think a couple podcast episodes ago, talking about like entrepreneurship. Because I know Lifeline's got a lot going on, and so what's the update on business these days?
So we got some exciting things actually. Just got a seller agreement made up, so now I can start having people sell through Lifeline.
Oh, sweet.
So working on getting that finally set up so people can join that. We also came out with a cool thing called Blockade Runner.
Blockade Runner.
So this is essentially a service where if you want to find American sourced product, like made in USA,
Mm-hmm.
we're like a concierge service to like find it for you and get your business set up for that. So
Nice.
connecting the retailer with the
That's
store.
awesome.
That's really cool. That's sweet.
Yeah, we thought it'd be kind of a cool name because it's kind of like in Star Wars with the Trade Federation, all the runners like trying to get through.
Yeah.
And then back in the day, like in the Civil War, we had that happening on the sea, like them trying to get past the Union and the Confederate ships. and stuff.
Okay. Nice. Nice. I gotta be honest. I'm not a history buff, like in
Okay.
any way. I do know about the Civil War was between the North and the South.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm not like I'm not that Republican, I guess.
Well, I mean-
There's a comedian I listened to that was his bit. He was just like, I've been getting into history lately. And I know that's just early onset Republican. I was just like, oh shoot, I guess I'm not very Republican because I haven't been reading much of history. But and I know that's my bad.
Oh, you're
I'll
good.
get it. What would you recommend? What's a good starting point for a guy who's trying to like, I don't know, learn history?
There's
In America.
in America.
Yeah.
There's a couple of podcasts we use to research.
Okay.
I think one's called America History Podcast, so pretty basic. Another one I think is called America Hit History or something like that.
Okay.
But they're like 30-minute episodes, and it's like a role played thing. So it was like sound effects and music and stuff, and like it's kind of like a storyline.
Gotcha.
So those are fun to listen to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What is your favorite point in American history?
Oh,
Was it the start? Like how it got started or?
probably. Yeah.
It's like at its best, like they started and then from then it just started
Yes.
going
Yeah,
downhill.
all downhill from there then.
I don't know how much that is like kind of for the credit of the United States. You're like, man, we were at the top, dude. When we were the underdogs, like barely
That's right.
making it, we were great.
We peaked
Yeah.
at our beginning. It was the peak.
I was like the high school kid, doing great, and then after that, that's great.
Yeah, bro, you just reflect. Well, and I guess now, like to follow that a little bit, it's just like everyone's like, I mean, was high school really even that great? But no, I mean, it was. I mean, it's not for everyone. But
Yeah.
Sure.
yeah.
Dane, did you read? I can't remember if the classes changed, but in college, did you do any of those like Federalist tracks? Did you find that
We
like,
read a few
interesting or
we were supposed to read some of the Federalist Papers.
okay?
I read like some of them, but like, I don't know.
Dr. Virginia doesn't watch this, does she?
I do.
She will find you, bro.
It's actually coming on the show next week.
Oh, really? Oh
That's
man,
awesome.
that's awesome.
And yeah, I mean, I read a little bit, but I was also trying to write a thesis at that time.
100%. No,
Yeah.
I hear that, man.
I think some folks might have been reading Federalist Papers. I feel like Dr. Virginia makes you read them anytime you have her in class. But
Yeah.
we only had them assigned when I was a senior.
I think
Okay.
I think we did like 15 papers in total. Does that sound about right, Ryan?
Yeah, I think so. I think that sounds all right. I get my high school track sometimes mixed up because in high school I took a Hillsdale College course. It was like called Constitution 101, I think it was. So we read a lot of founding documents and stuff like that. So I get it in my brain. It overlaps with what we do at college, and then I'm trying to remember back, and it's like, no, we didn't even read that book in college or something like that, and it's a bit of a struggle.
Yeah,
It's a bit of a blur.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
same.
Well, Ryan, I think everyone's wondering, who are you and why are you here on the pod again? I mean,
Sure,
I'm
sure.
probably wondering
What
that
is this
about me
guy?
too, because I've never even been on here. But we'll start with Ryan.
Sure.
He has seniority.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I know who I am, but as far as like having me on the podcast, I definitely think Tom might overestimate the valuable input that I have to give when it comes to certain things. It's like I'm just trying to figure things out. So I do appreciate kind of like the open dialogue, just kind of talking about things, but I kind of introduced myself the first time I was on because that was specifically oriented towards my thesis that was, based in myth and gender psychology, I guess you could say. But I graduated from the same college that both of you guys did, Wyoming Catholic. I now live in Tennessee. Dane and I are both part of the insurance arm or the financial arm of the Knights of Columbus. And I think that kind of might tie a little bit into what we were talking about earlier with how do you keep a brotherhood alive over a long distance. And Dana and I were talking about it a little bit earlier today. And I think specifically with this job, there is some pretty important aspects of brotherhood in it for a lot of different reasons. But
Yeah, I mean,
I'll,
from my understanding, like, I mean, how Blessed McGivney, our founder, kind of had the like got started was like Irish Catholics were majorly oppressed back in the 19th century,
Mhm.
and they were working these dangerous jobs. Mortality rates were so high, and because like Catholics were on the outs at that time, no insurance company would ever do business with them. So you'd have these Catholics just like dying, families were left starving, and Blessed McGivney was just a parish priest, and like so he would give some money and have some resources for help, but only so much. So he kind of like just was like, okay, I'll do this myself. And so he went and like studied insurance and what it took, and then decided to bring like 12 guys, 12 interested guys into the basement of St. Mary's Church and go, we need to do this ourselves. Us Catholics need to have each other's back. And there's a way that we can do that in line with it's called fraternal insurance. And a fraternal insurance company, because Knights of Columbus isn't the only one. Like there are other ones you can get. I'm sure you get insurance through like the Elks or like other lodges. It's kind of like having a lodge, right? You have to have sort of degrees of membership. You have to have rituals, and it has to be like an exclusive club, you know. So, and then in that way, because you are aligned in either goals or in religious reasons, you can sell insurance to yourselves, you know.
Mm.
And so that's what Blessed McGivney did, and he got 12 guys together, and he's like, we have to have each other's backs because insurance companies today are not, you know.
Mm.
And then it's been going strong for 140 years, all the way to today, where it is a Fortune 1000 company as a nonprofit. We average about $150 million of donations to charity yearly.
Wow.
We have been the Forbes best insurance company for 3 straight years. So no one is doing it better than we are. I think we have, I mean, you can fact check this, but like, I think we
Sure.
have over 300 billion in like insurance coverage for Catholics nationwide. And this might even be internationally. And then I know somewhere around like
Yeah.
$29 billion of assets under management with the Knights of Columbus.
Mhm.
So the Knights aren't going to go bankrupt like anytime soon. You know, like we're here, man. And um, so I think to speak to what Ryan was saying about what does it take for brotherhood, it takes intentionality, I think, first, right? It takes the intention of wanting to build that relationship, you know, and like especially for what we do as agents, like we go into the homes of families, we sit down, we run a financial analysis, we say, hey, I'd recommend that you get X amount in coverage, or and then because we don't just do life insurance. We do life insurance, we do disability income insurance, we do retirement annuities, and we do long-term care coverage. So depending on where you are in your walk of life, right? Like if you are just getting started, like you and I, and you need to get coverage on your income, right? Maybe you're married, you definitely need to get income replacement for your spouse. Maybe you have kids now. So maybe you need to be building into your financial plan. How do I get coverage on my spouse so that she can raise our kids in accord with what we had planned, you know? So, and then all the way to like retirement annuities, like, are you trying to slow down? How's your 401k doing? You don't have time for your money to be going all over the place in the market now. So let's protect some of it with an annuity, right? Or maybe you're in like your 30s, 40s, and you're like, man, I'd really love to have like long-term care coverage because even if I don't go to a nursing home, like maybe I need to have things changed about my house today, or I want to stay in my home, I want to die in my home, then yeah, long-term care coverage could cover the nurse coming over to check up on you. Or in the event of a long-term care situation, then just having home like adult daycare, home hospice, we have comprehensive plans that will work with what you want, you know. So
Mhm.
for brotherhood, it's kind of just like, let's be united in here's my vision for my life and in my vocation. And let's have the night see if we can't help with that.
I think there's also, I mean, like, so there's like the financial part of brotherhood, meaning
Yeah.
we've got your back and you can feel comfortable talking about these things with us. I was kind of telling Dane a little bit earlier about some of the things I've seen with other companies that just for legal reasons, I'm not going to mention any names or anything like that, but I've seen some like pretty like no nonsense stuff happen in other companies where it's clearly not uh, in the rule book, or it's sort of in the gray area where it's, are you really doing the best for the client? Well, that's kind of a doubtful yes, or a pretty sure no. But with the nice, it's very much more like, I'm sitting down with a brother night and I'm going to see you at mass tomorrow or in a week. And if I don't do right by you, then you're going to let everybody else know in my council that I am someone who you don't want to be doing business with.
Yeah.
I'm not giving a good name to the Catholic Church or the Knights of Columbus or my agency, and that's going to spread like a wildfire, right? And so there's this sort of like standard of accountability that happens when you are in something like the Knights of Columbus, particularly as an agent. But I also think the other part that I really like is being able to say, oh, like, oh, you're planning new additions, you're pregnant, that's awesome. I'll keep you in my prayers. Please keep me in yours. And I think the strength of prayer is something that is really, I'm not going to say it's like largely overlooked, but I think there's a kind of a deprivation in it these days where we are so grounded in a scientific world. We're so grounded in a world of material things, even as Catholics, that we kind of allow ourselves to stop believing in the effect of prayer, in the effect of grace. I mean, at least I find myself kind of lacking in that area sometimes, where it's like, okay, I got to get all this stuff done, I got to have all these policies written, and I've got this chore list in front of me, and I never stop and think, like, how can I bring this to God? How can I ask for his strength in my daily job? And I start treating it like, when I'm tired and when I'm like kind of fed up, I'll go to the church and just kind of sit quietly and rest, and that's a good thing. But I think part of the brotherhood is like, you hop on a business meeting and the first thing we do is we pray together as a bunch of Catholic men trying to give an example by putting prayer before work. I think it's kind of a cool aspect that I've found a lot different working this job than any other one.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think prayer, Ryan's spot on with how much prayer is included in what I do for families, right? Is I mean, I've had a couple of like death claims now. I've been in this for a little while, and it's such a beautiful moment of like, I am so sorry you lost your loved one. I'm adding him or her to my prayer list. And I will pray for you every day. Even though I already do pray for all the members in my councils that I take care of every day. But
Yeah.
now it's like, I've heard their voice, they've heard my voice, they know I'm praying for them. It's so, yeah, it's so good. And you'll never get that with like, I mean, if you're like maybe working with like a fellow Catholic from like a different,
Sure.
right? But then, but built into who we are and what we do, that's just gonna happen, you know. It's yeah, so prayer is massive. It's massive. And especially for like uniting brothers across the way, because Ryan knows I'm praying for the success of what he's doing every day. And I can
Yeah.
count on that he's praying for me as well, that we both, do well in what we do.
Yeah.
Right. I think that goes back a little bit to, I was listening to that episode you had with Jonathan about entrepreneurship. I
Yeah.
think you said something on there where, or you were quoting somebody that was just like, nobody's rooting for you. So, like
Oh,
you're kind
yeah.
of on your own, and like
Mhm.
your success is your responsibility.
Mhm.
And, like that's true. That's true for what Ryan and I do. Like
Mhm.
it's all about who we call, who we sit down with,
Mhm.
how we take care of them. And
Yeah.
then like we make our own success in this. And but this is almost like maybe an exception that proves the rule that because we're a Catholic organization, we are Catholics working for Catholics,
Yeah.
that we are rooting for each other. We are praying for each other to help each other be successful, But
That's pretty awesome.
yeah.
Like, I've been thinking about this a bit, and you know how like how awkward it can be sometimes when like you want to tell your friend about like a business thing,
Yeah.
and you just feel like you're intruding on the friendship with the business aspect.
Oh man, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
And
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I completely relate to that feeling.
I know. Isn't it a
It's so
terrible
rough.
feeling?
You're like, I feel like I'm like somehow violating the relationship by saying like, hey, we should sit down and have a 15-minute conversation. Anyway, Tom, sorry, keep going, man.
No. I'm yeah, like that's something I struggle with all the time, like especially running a business like Lifeline,
Yeah.
and then just reaching out to business owners that I know personally that have their business, and I'm
Mhm.
just like, hey, would you like? And it's not even paying anything. It's like, could you do this? It's a free thing. I'm trying to help,
Yeah.
but still, you're like, oh, like I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think it's cool, like with the Knights, it's like you're all brothers, you all know each other, and it's
Mhm.
okay to do business with each other.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't mean we're not immune to folks being pissed that we're calling them.
Oh.
Because that still happens.
Still happens.
Oh, for sure. I mean, a
Um,
lot of the people I never met, like it takes a long time to actually get to know your area. Like I've got, I think over 850, like 900 families that I'm supposed to take care of. And, I've only been at this for like half a year. And so I have not met like largely like even a quarter of them. And so you're approaching someone knowing that there is that common ground, but at the same time, like I always end up asking myself, like, how seriously does this person take their faith? Like you can say I'm a Catholic, you can say, I'm even a brother knight, but are you living in charity? Is my main like question to myself when I approach someone and say, like, if I act in charity and I carry myself in a way that speaks to that, then I'm far more likely to get that in return. But it is a lot different, Dane, when you're on the phone and you call somebody up or whatever, they're like, who the heck is this?
yeah. I
Like,
look
no,
like,
dude, I'm not talking, man. Yeah, exactly.
I don't need coverage. I'm
Um,
good. Yeah.
yeah.
And I think, I mean, as somebody who's trying to run his own business, that it's not like not everyone's a yes, like you've got to be okay with rejection
Yeah.
in what you do, like and I was telling Ryan this like some time ago, like this is, and I tell myself this every day before I like sit down and start like booking my appointments for the next week, is I am like, for every person who is not interested, there are 10 people praying that I give them a call, and that is
Oh,
such
yeah.
a great mental space to be in, of this like kind of abundance mentality. It's just
Yeah.
like yeah, this person might not be interested, but I know that there are 10 out there praying that I give them a call,
Mm.
because I'm in kind of the same boat. I've got a ton of families and some of them don't even have the same phone number. So it's kind of hard to reach them, but like, yeah, but there are people that are just like, I am so glad you called. I was trying to reach you guys, or you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
happens, and that's
Mhm.
amazing. That's a huge win. And then there are also people not interested, but they know who I am now. Like they
Yeah.
know who I am and what I'm doing, right? I'm a household Catholic name for them. So
Mm,
that in itself is a win, even if they're not interested in the business, right?
yeah.
So then, and then even just this other element of things is like recruitment, like
Mhm.
finding more Catholic gentlemen who are not yet knights.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
huge,
Yeah.
right? Like you're a Catholic guy, you want to be a better Catholic, join an organization where that is what it's all about. Become a better Catholic, you know? And so yeah, so there's all these elements, right? There's the like the existing market for people that already, have insurance. And then there's the people who don't but are knights, and then there's the people who are not knights,
Mm,
right? And so I can kind of play in those three lanes. And
Yeah. I think personally I'm most excited for like the recruiting part, even though like there's no monetary like compensation for you recruiting knights to speak of.
Mhm.
But I can't wait to see a bunch of guys that are around my age starting to join the councils that have been around for a very long time, and they've kind of lost a little bit of their fervor, and they still do great things. Um, but I kind of want to start making the area more like a family oriented thing where like you have family nights at the council hall where people bring their wives, they bring their kids, they have fun. And I think part of the faith is ensuring that those around you are practicing that faith in the joy of Christ. And I think a lot of times um, people can think of it as, oh, we got to do, this checklist of tasks that we've always done. And that's all like, that's awesome. And I'm not going to say like, hey, Knights, you should stop donating $150 million a year to charities. Like, absolutely not. But at the same time, like as brother Knights, we should look at the areas that we live in and say, like, how can I help build a community that's founded on charity and joy and live that out with those people instead of just saying like I'll go to the meetings, I'll donate my, I'll pay my dues and then I'm done. So I think like I don't know. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Dane?
No, you're absolutely right. Where community is, so there's prayer, there's a common goal of wanting to be a better Catholic, but then to speak to just brotherhood itself means living in community, where
mm,
it means being intentional about spending time with that other person, right? Like I'm not gonna, it doesn't, yeah, it takes like involvement, like community for community's sake, but for also Christ as the end goal, right?
mhm.
So like let's go to the fish fry, or let's show up at council meetings, let's have family nights,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like iron sharpening iron. We're
Mhm.
Catholics trying to figure it out, like Ryan was saying. And to be around other Catholics figuring it out is such a it refreshes me anyway. Like helps me want to be better when I know that I'm around other folks wanting that too.
Yeah.
Right? So it's
100%.
yeah. And like so many of the events for the Knights of Columbus, like the fish fry or like a pancake breakfast after mass is that's why that opportunity exists. Like it's just to have to have community, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise like our lives are so busy, and going back to prayer, like we have like people are set in their ways, they have their routines, and prayer can sometimes it needs to be in the routine, but I'm not the best of like making prayer part of my routine, in a day. Same with spending intentional time with other Catholics
Mm,
just to be there,
yeah.
like so that's why I said it's such a gift to be an agent, is that I know that there's at least 10 families a week that I'm sitting down, we're having a conversation, and like, yeah, like if the Knights can help them, I'll let them know. But more often, it's just having a good conversation with really remarkable people in the like Lander area, And I'm sure that's true for Ryan over in Tennessee.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
I think another interesting aspect of like like Tom specifically to the like distance situation.
Mhm.
I think that is like honestly a problem that I haven't personally found a solution to. Like I know that I can impact Dane and what he does and my brother Knights across the states through prayer. And Dane and I talk like at least once a week about like what our plans are, what our goals are, how we're doing. And I found that extremely awesome. But when it comes to like a large amount of people, it's just so hard to like find the time to reach out and talk to them. Even just like other friends from college, I don't know what the answer to the question, like, how do you continue living your life walking forward while also maintaining those friendships that geographically are a lot harder to access and are only like maintainable through technology or social media?
Mhm. Yeah, it is hard. It's because like there's something so it's I guess it's so new. It's like having the ability to talk with someone, you see their face, but they're not there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like you want to feel connected with them, but there's just something lacking.
Mm,
And so you don't feel like you can really move your friendship in the way you want to forward.
yeah.
Yeah, it is a question. I wonder how to answer it.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I think that was something that was just so special that we had while we were at college, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you have like this element of just trauma bonding of like how difficult the curriculum really is and how hard it is to balance being a good student with just getting by, you know.
Yeah.
And then so are like the 30 other people in your class, right? Like we can all just like go arm in arm in this together till graduation, right?
Mhm.
And then after graduation, then what? Now we're just trying to figure out how to apply those awesome things we had at school to our now new daily routines.
Mhm.
And yeah, trying, and it's like fitting the people that are near you, like the people inlander is one thing, right? Like having that kind of element of community. But then yeah, trying to like, I don't know, I'm pretty bad at like calling my classmates. Even though I every like when I do call them, it's such an awesome conversation, you know. I've never had a bad conversation with any of my classmates after graduating, you know.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's yeah, I think it is just I think it's probably just it goes back to habit, maybe making it a
Maybe.
habit
Yeah.
to, and that could be, hey, we're in a good season for it. It's Lent.
Oh
Lent is a
yeah.
great time to start forming new habits.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like
I
so
have found like one of my resolutions was to try to call people, like call a friend, like a college friend or a sibling once a week.
yeah.
And I haven't been perfect about it, but like week 2, I made this rule that I have to be okay if that conversation is 10 minutes or shorter.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
they have to be as well. Like I'll call them up, hey man, I only got like 10 minutes, I'm driving or whatever I'm doing. And you're like, yo, that's awesome. Like 10 minutes, how you doing? Like quick back and forth, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I've talked to a lot more people since I started implementing that rule,
Mhm.
because before that what would happen was I'd call somebody up and start talking to them and not have a cap or anything like that. And that's not bad. I'm not saying that's bad,
Mhm.
but someone would call me and I'd kind of hold them to the same standard. And I'll look at the phone. I'm like, wow, I don't really have time for an hour and a half conversation right now. I'll text
Mhm.
them and say, can I talk to you later? And then like, Lord knows if I'm going to get back to them or not. But if
Yeah.
I pick up, hey man, I only got 15 minutes, what's going on? And then if you have that like understanding that I'm gonna call, my roommate from college and it's gonna be quick, or
Mhm.
it could be longer, but I think that freedom is really cool. That's kind of one step closer to the keeping in touch that I've had. But
Mhm.
like you were saying, Dane, the discipline of your the discipline of your schedule and allowing for like time in order to do that and not feeling like life is just going off the rails. I don't know. I'm excited for things to calm down, but I feel like they're not going to.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's adaptability.
Mhm.
I think
Yes.
it really is just rolling with the punches, like
Yeah.
90% life, you know.
Yeah.
And then I think that 10% of peace is just when you're in prayer, probably, or in mass.
Sure.
Yeah. Like, ah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
back to it.
I know, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But then even
I'm
then,
pretty-
right? Because sometimes
yeah.
I'm in mass and I'm like, oh gosh, when I leave today, I have to like go do X, Y, and Z, and but that, yeah. So I mean, I'm definitely guilty of that. So it's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe it's more than maybe 90-ish%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super new to the like not in an ordered institution. Like, you know,
Mhm.
high school, it's this way, and like it stays that way. You do your stuff. Like, sure, you got your freedom. You've got actually a lot of it.
Yeah.
As far as like time goes, like looking back, like I remember in high school, I'm like, I don't have time to do anything. And, like, I'm gonna go play basketball with my friends for like 2 hours straight. Like now, like if I just like went and took 2 hours to play basketball, I'd be like, okay, what do I got to do to make sure I have that time block that I can feel guiltless doing that?
Yeah.
And then college is kind of like, well, do I read the Federalist Papers or do I go, you know, like climbing or something?
Yeah.
And then now it's like, well, you're married and you've got to keep the lights on. So no, you can't go climbing or play basketball. Like, get your butt out there and start working, dude. Like,
Mhm.
so I'm pretty new to that scene and kind of balancing being my own CEO and also trying to form relationships outside work is definitely a new challenge that I'm excited to like figure out, but is definitely sometimes very daunting.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm in the same boat, man. You're toning a very fine line of like, I want to be providing for my family. I want to be doing, I know I can be doing A, B, and C things for my business, but then also let's go to a board game night.
Yeah.
Because there are still some goods to be gleaned from community in that way. So it's, yeah, it's a lot of, you're weighing a lot of goods actually. And
Mhm.
dude, speaking of like habits, dude, what's a day in the life of Tom, bro? Like, well, we can go around the table, go our day in the life.
Sure. Yeah. That'd be cool.
Because we're
Oh,
because
yeah,
you're
for
you're
sure.
like you're trying to do your entrepreneur thing. What are some things you're doing daily?
Sure.
Business.
So, it's a pretty repetitive schedule, but get up at 4:30, do prayers, get my day ready, get to the gym by 5:30,
Mhm.
train from 5:30 to 7. Um, I start work, my day job at 7:30. So from 7 to 7:30, I'm making contacts for my business.
Mhm.
And then I work 10-hour days, so I get home at 6,
Okay.
make dinner, usually about an hour, and then from 7 till 9:30 or 10, I'm just working on my business. So
Nice.
that's Monday through Thursdays, and then Fridays and Saturdays is just same gym time, work from like 8 a.m. to like 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Wow.
and then Sundays is church, and hopefully see some friends.
Yeah. Sundays for seeing friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
You up at 4:30 in the morning, dude?
4:30 is
Yeah.
crazy.
Like, oh, that is crazy, dude.
Oh.
But I feel like
Oh.
I hear that a lot from like, successful people that they're up early. They're up early.
Tom's one of those guys that are like popping off the pillow, just putting on X, rise and grind, guys.
Exactly, bro.
Yeah.
That is, yeah, 4:30 is
I love it.
crazy.
I still have to keep my alarm clock away from my bed though, because
Oh.
I've tried like, just putting it like in arm shot. If I can touch the alarm clock, I'm not getting up.
Really?
And it's been like since freshman year when I
Oh,
started
I
getting
need
up.
to do that. I need to do that. I know that about myself, but I've been denying it, and you just pushed me over the edge. I gotta move my alarm.
Dude, that's
Well,
I feel dude, I'm crazy. I don't think I've ever snoozed an alarm ever in my
What?
life.
Wow,
Yeah.
seriously,
Like, and
never.
like no cap, bro. Like if I even
Dane, I
more
was.
often than not, I like if I know I need to be up to do the thing the next day, I get up before my alarm. Like I'm one of those
Wow.
psychopaths that's like
Yeah.
I get
I
so
would do that.
stressed.
I would do that sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
There was times though I got like on this like snooze button streak that I like no joke taped my alarm to the freaking ceiling. So I had to like jump to get it down to get me like awake.
Dude,
That's awesome.
that's crazy.
And
Yeah.
then one morning I was like still 90% asleep. I just like leaned down and unplugged it and got back into bed. I'm like, oh no, I figured it out. Like 5% awake. I like figured out the Rubik's Cube. I gotta like change the alarm position or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But
My
at
God.
least I'm not bad as like one of my roommates. He had one of those like atomic alarms where they have like a little disc they put under the mattress and it shakes the whole mattress.
That's
And
crazy.
it's got like strobe lights and it sounds like a foghorn.
Oh
Like
my
he was waking people up in the room next to us before he woke up.
my gosh, bro.
Like,
No, dude.
yeah,
You gotta be sleep.
yeah.
That's crazy sleep. That's crazy. And like I
Just
sleep
ask,
heavy, but like that's next
dude,
level.
just ask Peter Geddix about like how heavy he slept freshman year, and he'll tell you about
Oh,
the atomic alarm
the
clock.
atomic alarm clock, bro.
So so Dane, what does a day look like for you?
My day starts when the kids wake up. So like Mary and I are asleep until our kids wake us up, basically. And that's kind of around 7:30. And then so we get up, we get the kids fed, and then we try and get to daily mass at 8. And so we go to mass, and then after mass, we I check my emails around like 9ish. And so I'm checking emails, I'm checking the status on like different cases that I'm working on. And then after that, it's about 10ish, 10:30 is when I go to the gym. And then um I do, yeah, and then I work out from like 10:30 to like 11:30, and then so like kind of like an hour. And then after that is when I eat. I usually make like 4 to 5 eggs for breakfast, and then it's calling. Then I'm calling members saying, "Hey," if I haven't talked to them before, it's the conversation goes like, "Hey, this is Dane. I'm your agent, and I'm handling your accounts now. You should sit down." And then if it's somebody like a case that's open, then I'm like, "Hey, I have this update. Let's sit down, talk about it." Um, if they don't, if they don't have insurance, then I'm like, "Hey, this is Dane. I'm your agent, and I just love to sit down and talk." Um, because I feel like a lot of the time, like what Knights of Columbus is people don't really know what it is. So having an agent
Mhm.
come and just say what they're stoked about, that's not only great for the member himself, but then also his spouse if he has one. Because like, you know, I don't know what like, they don't know what it is because they don't go to meetings or anything like that. And they don't know what's kind of at their disposal. So me as a resource. So yeah, so that's what I call they're called associate members. um, that's the kind of conversation I'm having on the phone with them. So yeah, I try and call and book like one sit down, and then I take a break. Because my afternoon is usually when I'm sitting down with members. So I try and do 2 a day. And so I get through those, and then yeah, then it's dinner time. And then my evenings, there's usually a meeting, like a client, like the folks that are working 9 to 5s, then kind of after dinner time is the only time they can chat. So then I do a meeting then. And then if that meeting's at 7, I try and call and book another meeting between dinner time and when I need to go chat with them. So, and then after that meeting, it's like 8. That's when we clean the house from like the tornado that is my 2 children, and then we clean up, and then Mary and I just vibe mainly.
Awesome.
um, yeah, I try and because like I can call members like all day, and then kind of between dinner and bedtime is I feel like when I have the most success with like kind of like dads,
Mhm.
because I don't want to like like too late. I know that nobody really answers the phone then anyway, so
Yeah.
yeah, kind of as long as I get my dials in before 7, it's kind of what I do. And then Yeah, that's a day. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, that's
I'm pretty deep into, so what Mary and I do, like after the kids are asleep, after the house is clean, we've been watching the show Survivor. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but it's like it's this group of people competing for $1 million in the islands of Fiji. Um,
Wow.
and they're
Wait, is that
literally
like
just,
Alone?
is it
Like
what?
that sounds like the show Alone, like very similar at least.
I don't
Are
know.
they like
It's
are they in teams?
Yes, they're called
Okay.
tribes. There's two tribes usually. And so they're all like they all need to work together to get through certain challenges that would have
Okay.
win them like a steak dinner or something, right? Because otherwise they're just given a bag of rice and then they're just told that, hey, go hunt, go fish, go gather the rest of your food. But we'll give you like a ration of rice for I think so part of many of the seasons are 39 days in length, but I think lately, I think the last 4 or 5 seasons have been 26 because they kind of changed the game up a little bit. But yeah, so that's what Mary and I
Okay.
watch. We watch an episode of Survivor, and it's really it's just reality TV. But
Dude, you should check out Alone. That is Alone. It
yeah.
is it is my favorite reality
Oh,
Survivor TV show
okay.
because it's individuals
Oh,
and there's no signal that tells them it's a knockout game. So last man standing wins half a mil. They raised it to 1 million in later shows. But they
okay.
have like a selected amount of items. They get dropped off in crazy places like Patagonia or Mongolia. And it's crazy. Like these people are out there for like, I don't know. I think the longest I've seen so far was like 60 or 78 days or something like that.
Oh
And
Whoa.
like
my
no
gosh.
food, no food except the food that they get. And like one dude
Ugh.
was like living off of squashed mice for like 20 days. Just
Oh,
like
dude.
just a mouse a day. That's what he's got.
A
It's
mouse a
it's crazy
day.
stuff. Yeah.
That's
Anyway, so that's a show recommendation that I have.
dude
I think
alone. I'll
it's
check it
really
out.
peaceful too. Like the music's kind of like it's not too intense. And
Hmm.
I learned a lot. I think I learned a lot about if I ever have to eat mice for the rest of my life, I'm set.
Yeah. All right. There you go. Dude, you
Yeah.
can diet on mice for 20 days, dude. That's like
Yeah.
next level carnivore, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do the carnivore. I do the mice diet. Not just the
Just
mouse
rodents,
diet.
man. Just mouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your day in the life, Ryan?
Dude, I'm gonna have to come clean and say the day in the life is probably a lot messier than you guys. I'm a little bit more all over the place. But I would say like my order day is I wake up at yeah, between 7 and 7:30.
Mhm.
I don't really eat breakfast. I usually eat just lunch and dinner. But I usually get up, go outside pretty much immediately. Like I'll just throw my slippers on and walk outside, just to get some like sunlight and like get my eyes open.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
found that actually really helps wake me up. Um, and then I say some prayers. Mass for my daily mass is at 12. I try to make that like twice a week. I should probably up my game and try to do that every day. But so yeah, I get up, go outside. That probably lasts for about 15 minutes. I just kind of stand there. Sometimes I bring something out there with me to read or I pray out there. Other times I literally just sit there like looking at the sky. I know that sounds super weird, but it does help me wake up and kind of get vitalized for the day.
Yeah.
Then I kind of go straight into looking at my calendar and saying like, okay, what do I have today? And sort of plotting my day as far as like, okay, who do I have to get a hold of for like reminding them that we have a meeting today? Then I look at all my pending business and my emails. I usually text my GA, my general agent, and if I have any questions, that's when I text some questions. If I don't, then I just don't text them at all.
Mhm.
And then let's see, that probably puts us around like 9:30 or 10. Twice a week we have a meeting, like an agency meeting at 10. So
Yeah.
um that happens for about an hour, sometimes just a little bit longer. And then after that, I have like a little bit early of a lunch, head out for my appointments. Ideally, I see a person at 1 p.m., at 3 p.m., and then at like 5:30 or 6. Sometimes I mix it up and I have someone in the morning. So I have gotten up and gone straight to like a cafe and had a sit down breakfast with someone and talked to them then. So again, that's kind of why my schedule is a little bit thrown off, because right now I'm just trying to keep my calendar full. And if that means having a morning appointment instead of an evening one, I do that. And then I try to do a workout in the afternoon, like just before dinner, because after dinner, like there's no shot that's going to happen. Yeah. So have not been great with that. I need to get back in. That's one of my Lenten penances. I wouldn't say it's like my Lenten resolution, because I don't want to be like, I'm going to make myself holy by working out. It's
Right.
more like a, hey, Ryan, get your butt back in gear, dude. So
Mhm.
that's one of my resolutions. And then in the evening, yeah, I either am hanging out with Alyssa, or Thursday nights, for example, we have a guys' night every Thursday night religiously. I've been here for, almost a year now, and I haven't seen it ever fail to happen. There can be only 3 guys, there could be 10 guys, and we sit around and talk about a lot of stuff, from anywhere from politics to fatherhood and how fatherhood looks in our life, or we just argue about stupid stuff. So it's pretty great.
Nice.
Last night I was there till like almost 1 a.m. So it can go long. And like these
Yeah,
married
that's
dudes are just
sweet.
like, it's just like, it is what it is. And then yeah, the weekends, I'm probably doing something every weekend. I usually have like, I would probably say on average, I have about 3 social events a week.
Whoa.
So with guys' night, and then I'm going hanging out with my in-laws, or I'm going over to a friend's house for dinner, or I'm just saying like, hey, my doors are open, for the next 2 hours. If anyone wants to swing by, I'll make them a cocktail. We can talk for a little while, and then I'll kick them out
Yeah.
before dinner or something like that. So that's kind of my day in life right now.
Nice.
Hoping it's a little bit less fluid, but yeah.
Yeah, is what it is, man.
Really good
Yeah.
stuff.
Tom, what is, I feel like when you're kind of the master of your own day, you're the master of your own like paycheck and success. There's like that one thing that if you don't do it, you feel like you failed that day. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What's that one thing for you?
Hmm. I would probably say research and development.
Okay.
Since I'm kind of doing everything on my own, like designing a website, getting all that stuff built.
Yeah.
If I don't feel like I'm getting the system more sophisticated and ready to go for clients, then I feel like I missed the day.
Yeah.
Sure.
No.
And it's kind of like calling people for me. Like if I
Yeah.
haven't even tried to reach out to one person, one member, and I was just like, dude, what was I doing
It's a
today?
bad feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hey guys, speaking of a day in the life, I do have a social event in a few
Okay.
minutes here. So I'm gonna have to dash pretty soon, just so you know.
Okay. All right.
But you guys should keep going. You guys are doing
Yeah.
great.
Dude, thank you so
Yeah.
much, Ryan. That
No,
was
it's
awesome.
great.
So
Yeah.
glad you came on. And you're in our prayers for everything that you're doing, the success of your business and your agency.
Mhm.
Likewise, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on, bro.
Yeah, well, God bless, guys.
God
You
bless.
too, Ryan.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Yeah. Wow. That's a good conversation.
Dude, Ryan is so great. I have
Yeah.
like you said, we talk every week. We're big supporters for each other. I mean, we text each other back and forth like, hey, like strategizing, right? Like I'm working with this family in this case, this situation. And obviously like he's reaching out to like the experienced like agents and like his general agent as well. But then yeah, just for each other, just to hear just to keep that open line. Like I helped this person today, or hey, I lost, like, I have a death claim. Can you add this person to your prayer list? Has been awesome. It's been awesome. Having Ryan for sure.
That was so cool. Like, there's something about like, like talking about the idea of brotherhood. There's like a shared purpose with the brotherhood,
Mm-hmm.
and to have it in business is so cool
Yeah.
because business is like we've it's like it's still a wild domestication
Yeah.
because you're still trying to figure out how to make things work better
Yes.
in
Yes.
society, and that's like our work is like trying to figure out how to make everything work well.
Yeah.
And to have someone alongside you on that journey
Mhm.
is just pretty much doing something the same but far apart. So you're like sharing strategies and everything and like trying
Yeah.
to help each other. That's
Oh yeah.
pretty awesome.
Yeah. Especially this like Ryan and he will like send each other like, hey, I was doing this or I added this to my day and it made a world of difference,
Mhm.
or I like, yeah, making sure I was calling is like before you can just, I don't know, maybe you're in the same boat where it's like you sit down, you try and call like 100 business owners
Yeah.
in one sitting, and it can be so discouraging when,
Yeah.
and like just also exhausting, right?
Mhm.
And then, and so same thing for like myself, where I can't sit down and call 100 Catholics. Like it drives me crazy. But I will sit down and call enough until, I've known I helped somebody. Right.
Oh,
So then it's
yeah.
just kind of like that's a good stopping point. I can go and do something else because I did, I got the appointment.
Mm,
And so much of entrepreneurship is just activity, right?
yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
and so kind of like in like calling, texting, emailing, that's all activity, right? And
Yeah.
so I can do all those activities all day, but until somebody actually picks up the phone or actually replies to my email or no, actually responds to my text, that's when I know it's like, oh, okay, sweet. That's the
Mhm.
milestone I wanted to hit this morning, you know?
Yeah.
And gosh, I mean, just like milestones are huge, especially for building habits,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
like going to the gym, like, oh, I just wanted to add a bigger plate today. Like that's a
Mm,
milestone, or
it
like
is.
one
Yeah.
more set in this way, another milestone. But because there are some days I'm sure you've had them. It's just like I do not want to go to the gym today.
Yeah.
But then once you're in it, it's great.
It is.
I
Yeah.
like yeah. It's who was I? Maybe did you share like a clip or something? But it was some podcaster had something to say about motivation. Like motivation is not what gets you in the gym every day.
Mm,
It's discipline or something like that.
yeah.
And um and it's just true. Like motivation, like it's habits, it's discipline, and it's good habits that will, at least for this is my belief, is that will help me be successful, right?
Mhm.
Like I will call until somebody
Mm,
answers and we set up a sit down appointment, and like every day, like, and then and then every appointment that I have with a client is going to look the exact same,
mm,
right? Because I don't want there to be like, I'm not going to pretend like I have, like I know how to say the magic thing that like helps somebody understand what insurance is and what it does, but I'll just give I'll say the same thing to everyone. And because insurance is like, I like to say, the easiest financial tool that's not explained to anyone at school.
yeah.
Like,
That's
like,
so cool.
and and like the U.S. government's done this awesome job of making sure, like you, if you drive a car and you don't have insurance, it's illegal. Like you
Mhm.
get insurance on a car because you crash your car, you need a new car,
Yeah.
right? You get insurance on a house because if it burns down, you need another house.
Yeah.
Like how like if you need insurance on you because you make money, and
Yeah.
people, sometimes there are people in your lives that are affected by you making money, right?
Mhm.
Like your wife, your kids, you
Yeah.
know
Mhm.
so get some coverage on yourself, because if you're gone, then then you want your wife and your kids to be okay, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah, that's kind of what I like to tell is like different members is I'm just like, you get car insurance, you get house insurance, you get renters. Like even if you don't even own the house, you get renters insurance on the stuff you have inside of a rental home.
Right.
So get coverage on who you are, your life, you
Yeah.
know? So this is, and then,
Makes so much sense.
yeah, so yeah, it's those milestones, right? Like it's
Mhm.
getting to that point in a conversation with a family as, that I need to hit when I sit down with everybody, you know? It's
Yeah.
just like, let's just talk about the value of what it is,
Mhm.
right? Because it's been going strong for 140 years. It's not like people have been systematically duped for 140 years, right?
Why it wouldn't happen?
I know. Oh man. If that were true, then everybody would just be an insurance salesman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's no, it's definitely, yeah, it's been such a blessing because at the end of the day, it's just me sitting down with Catholic families. And if they're good, then awesome. Then
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like sell them something they don't need,
Right.
right? Like, but there is a need. If you
Mhm.
have a wife and kids, there's a need already that exists.
Yeah.
So you need to protect that paycheck,
I
right?
do.
Because like even some just like even companies realize this. They'll cook in like life insurance as like a benefit you don't even have to pay for. It's just there, right? Like group life policies exist, group disability exists. Like if you're a worker and you can't work, we'll have a disability for you, right? But not everyone works in a company that provides life insurance,
Mm.
disability income, you
Mhm.
know? So no, that's been it's just Catholics helping Catholics. Like we have each
Yeah.
other's back, you know?
It's pretty awesome because, like, you know, it's I would imagine it's pretty hard conversation, to have with people. Like, it's reminding them of death.
Yeah.
So you're like trying to tell them, like, hey, when this happens, you should be covered for someone. And so it's probably not something people want to think about, but it's like
Yeah.
something they should be thinking about.
Right. Right. And no, you're absolutely right. Where it's and there's something that I tell people. Um, if I know when I'm going to die, then I would only buy like term insurance,
Mm,
and because that happens in like every 20-year blocks, right? And so I'm like, oh, if I know I'm gonna die within 20 years, then yeah, I'll buy term insurance. But you don't know when you're going to die. You don't know when our Lord is going to call you home. So get some whole life coverage as a way to just like, yes, I know that I am going to leave my family in a little bit of a better place when I'm gone, right? Because
yeah.
like if God willing you live to, what's the life expectancy? I think it's like 85 for guys. And then
Something like that.
yeah, if you're in your 80s or even beyond that, like you've slowed way down. So it's not that like you can just kind of sit on this gift that you're leaving, this legacy that you're leaving,
Mhm.
right? Because there's like it's tax free. Like death benefit from life insurance contracts goes tax free to the beneficiary, right? So with like policies that exist, it's a great way of like making sure that Uncle Sam doesn't get a piece of the pie,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because there are some people that's a concern for them, and and then of course just like the cash value that builds up into some of these things like can be so robust, especially with stuff that we have, that it can even just be taxed like a retirement account, where it's just like, yeah, that policy is a little bit too much money in there for it to just be life insurance. So,
Oh, it's too
and like,
bad.
yeah. So, but there's something for everyone, like, um, and even for kids, like I need policies on my kids, right? Because like if I buried my son, it's gonna take me a while before I go back to work. Or even working in the same capacity that I was working in.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I hope I never have to do that, but I'm not going to be okay. I'm going to be a shell of a man, I'm sure. Right. So having coverage on my kids, and like also if like they're like, if when kids die, it's not because they like, well, it happens, like accidents happen. But more often, I feel like it's just because they got sick. Like they're
Yeah.
sick, they're in the hospital for a long time. So you have to take time off of work to be with them or to be with the family while your wife is with the sick child. right? So that and that takes a long time, it might be a long time before they're gone. You've racked up a lot of medical bills in the process, and you've lost a lot of time at work, right? Like, yeah. So then life insurance on that child is a way of like, yeah, having it not hurt. So like it already is going to hurt so tremendously emotionally. And there's going to be trauma attached to that, but it doesn't need to cripple you financially too,
Yeah.
you know?
We don't need to add anything to that.
Exactly.
So-
Exactly. So yeah, there's something for everyone from kids to all the way to when you're, starting to slow down, right? Like the nights want to be part of your retirement plan too. Like
Yeah.
yeah, you have $1 million in an IRA, but the market's fluctuating. It's down today, it's up tomorrow. You know how it goes. If you're not, the thing I tell people is, how much are you willing to lose? And they go, half. And then I go, well, then let's protect that other half. Let's get that 500,000 in an annuity contract, turn it into guaranteed income, right? With guaranteed growth. So yeah, and like retirements and IRAs and 401ks is a lot better of like a cocktail conversation. Right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a lot lighter than like, yeah, you're gonna die. So
Yeah.
we should make sure you're covered.
I don't know if you know this, but
Yeah.
up for everyone.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's been a tremendous blessing, just especially building a network of Catholics
Yeah.
and yeah, and sitting down with them and helping them out. And um it's been a tremendous blessing, and I hope that I do this until I'm dead, because I just it's been so wonderful. Yeah, it's been so good to me and my family, and it's just been so good helping people.
Yeah. I think that's like I think we talked about it before, but like that's like the best thing about doing good work is it's the most fulfilling.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's like when you come home at night, you're like, I did good today. Through work, I helped someone in some capacity.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like it's interesting how important that is because like I don't know if you heard about this in World War II in the POW camps, they would have the men do useless work as a punishment.
I have
You
heard
heard of
that. Yeah.
Yeah, like they would just have them move a pile of dirt one here and then move it back. Like,
Oh my gosh.
never productive.
Yeah.
And it would make the men go insane.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it's like I think that's like our job is like to build something that will last so that we can keep building on it for the future. You know, it's like the men are kind of like the guys that go out in the forest, cut the trees down, build a home, fight off the beasts, and the family can live there. Then they build their town or build their city.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like the layers of progress
Yeah.
that
There's
they are
progress
working.
there.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you don't see it, you don't feel it, then you're just like you feel like you're wasting your time.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's the same goes with with life insurance, right? It's the idea is that you're now dead. So you actually don't see that progress except from, if you're in heaven, right?
Mm.
Because it's like, yeah, I have my $1 million policy, and that is only for my beneficiary, right? So it's kind of like that's kind of a hard thing to see past, And I mean, when we were talking earlier, we're so caught up in today, in getting through our daily routines today, and like trying to be intentional about prayer and community and friends and calling classmates, that like it's hard for me to do that. Like, how am I supposed to like picture like 80 years from now when, you know, 80, more like 60 years from now when I'm in my 80s and like and dying, right? Like, how do I I don't need to plan for that. I don't need to be thinking about that. I don't want to die, so I don't want to think about, there's a whole lot of roadblocks, right? A
Yeah.
whole lot of obstacles to jump over when
Right.
having these kind of conversations, right? And
Totally.
so yeah, but it's a good conversation to have, and if I wasn't the guy that was like trying to have that conversation with you, how often would you really have that conversation?
Yeah.
You know?
Like I didn't even think about it really. You know, like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, we should totally talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like and um and that's just true for so many folks with where they're at in life. Like, in so many different topics, like so many good conversations to have, you know? And life insurance needs to be one of those things, especially with a lot of financial tools, right? Because you work, you get a paycheck, that paycheck doesn't come with instructions, right? Like no one
Yeah.
teaches you how to budget. You kind of have to
No.
learn on your own, or somebody, an actual expert explains it to you.
Mhm.
That's pretty much true for all financial tools. Like,
Mhm.
how do I get into investing? Well, there are experts who are more than willing to do it for you or to help you learn how to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Same with like, how do I do my taxes?
Yeah.
There are experts who will do it for you or will help you learn how to do it.
Mhm.
Same with insurance. I will tell you what you should buy and you buy it and I'll do that for you, or I'll show you and the thing that you want to be looking for. Right.
Yeah.
Same with, yeah, all financial tools. It's true. And it's like, especially because our paycheck doesn't come with an instruction book on,
No.
yeah, where's my money? Where should my money be going?
Yeah.
Right? Because the investor is going to tell you, yeah, that money should be going into the market so that when you're 65, you have a sweet nest egg to retire on. Right? The insurance agent's going to tell you that should go into life insurance because if you get hit by a car tomorrow, you've left your spouse and your children up a creek, you
Yeah.
know?
Mhm.
Or,
Yeah.
and then, so yeah, or the other insurance agents will tell you it's just that money should go to car insurance because what if you get hit, right? Or what if your house burns down?
Yeah.
It's just like it is a whole lot of what ifs, right?
Right. Yeah.
But and like the difference is like let's plan for worst case scenario, right? Like you are dead, you know
Mm.
that affects people,
Yeah.
right? It's not cheap to bury someone, also. So
No.
it's
Yeah.
there. So if anything, you don't want to replace your income, whatever. It's also not cheap to get a decent casket, headstone, plot,
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's just people don't think about these things. So I
No.
sit down with them. Have you thought about this? And yeah, as long as you're in charity, like what Ryan was saying, he's like, I want to approach this family in charity. I pray for this family every day already.
Mhm.
So I just
Mhm.
want to, yeah, I just want to be Christ to these people. I want to be Blessed McGivney to these people because that's what Blessed McGivney was doing.
Mhm.
He was, I mean, yeah, he started with the 12 guys in the basement of St. Mary's, but then he went out or he caught parishioners after Mass. He's like, hey, you're Catholic. Do you have life insurance?
Mhm.
Right? Why not? Or, right? So yeah, just continuing the mission of Blessed McGivney has been a blessing for me. It's helped me grow in my faith. Um, it's helped me get back in the gym because I feel like, yeah, when you want to be like an entrepreneur, you got to get your body right. You got to get your mind right so that you're dialed for people, right? Because
Yeah.
it's entrepreneurship is always just a business of people. It's
Yeah.
always relationships.
Yeah.
It's always sales.
Yeah.
It always goes back to sales, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, so let's be let's be the healthiest we can be spiritually and physically,
Yep.
right? So that, yeah, so that mentally we are present to who we are selling to.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because it's like, um, your job essentially as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, as a salesman is like you're trying to help people get to the next place they should be,
Mhm.
and you're getting past all the barriers they're putting up to keep them from there. At
Yeah.
least the ones they see right in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so your job is kind of like to clear those away. You
Mhm.
know, or making a path towards the spot you should be in.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do that.
Oh yeah.
It's really hard to do that.
It's so hard.
It's like,
You get so many obstacles like, oh, I can't afford it.
Yep.
Or oh, I don't need it.
Yep.
Or oh, I could do business with like this company over here because they're cheaper than you. Well, they're also not Catholic,
Yeah.
right? They're also a for-profit organization, whatever, right?
Mhm.
Like, yeah, it's yeah, objections are very hard.
Very hard. And it's the hardest part is to not take it personally.
Oh yeah.
Because
Mhm.
you think it's something like about you or something like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, it probably primarily is something in their mind that
Yeah.
they are hearing. And they're like, no,
Yeah.
not necessarily you.
Yeah.
But it's hard to accept that because you feel like I always can get better. And it's true.
Mhm.
So it's like, it's weird. It's like, it's a both and situation.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Where it's just like that. Oh, they must hate me because I'm not conveying the like right message. And
Yeah.
and I was mentioning earlier, it's like I'm just gonna say the same thing. I'm gonna
Mhm.
say the same thing to everyone. And it's kind of like going back to that scripture passage where the seeds are gonna fall on rocks, it's gonna fall on the road, or it's gonna actually fall on soil, you know? And it's like I said, it's been going strong for 140 years. So like this is a thing that people need, right? And if you don't see it, that's okay.
Yeah.
We can part as friends. I won't take it personally,
Right.
right? Like it's like you're just a Catholic. I'm praying for you. Know that every day,
Mhm.
you know. But I think, yeah, and that's just specifically to the financial arm of the Knights of Columbus. But maybe that's not why a person, because I mean, and they're my favorite members, but so the members that join Knights of Columbus purely for the insurance. But you can join Knights of Columbus for so many other reasons. Maybe you are so passionate about the pancake breakfast
Yeah.
that you actually want to be a knight for that too. That's great. Or maybe you just don't have a whole lot of guy friends.
Mhm.
So you join the Knights of Columbus to go to the month. Well, we have 2 meetings a month. So to go to the 2 meetings a month where there is an evening where you can spend multiple hours with Catholic men trying to be better Catholic men. You know,
Yeah.
it's like maybe you don't get out much, maybe you don't have a whole network. In Lander, that's kind of hard because once you know one person, you know almost everyone. Because
Yeah.
they'll tell you about so and so so cool, and they'll tell you about and yeah, eventually, yeah, it's so close knit in Lander, but still, you know, like it happens. People don't get out, so yeah, I'll go to the council meetings, right?
Yeah.
Or because there's just such a diversity of goods within the Knights of Columbus.
Mhm.
It is at the end of the day, if you just are a Catholic man that wants to be better Catholic, just join the Knights. It's free.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have access to so much, to community, to fraternity, to financial tools, right? Like yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
Been amazing. I'm actually I'm giving a talk tonight at the college pub,
Oh, really?
at the Pequod. Yeah. So
Okay.
basically, what I'm doing is I'm paying for drinks for all the knights that show up, right? And if you're not a knight, then join the knights, and I'll buy your drinks. And
Hey. That's
so
smart.
so yeah, so a bunch of those college and like if they're girls, because I mean the Knights of Columbus is for men, but if you're a lady and just bring a guy, have him sign up, I'll get you guys some free drinks.
Hey, that's
So,
working the angles
yeah,
right there.
I
Yeah.
know, I know. So and it's a call. I know how broke college students are, so hopefully we have a good turnout tonight. And I'll just be telling them the same thing I've been telling you today. It's just kind of like, hey, if you want to be a better Catholic, join the Knights of Columbus.
Yeah.
Because it's not just one door that's opening. There are so many doors going that are open to you, and there's so much opportunity for networking. My brother, he moved away to a different city he's never been to. And the first thing I told him is I'm just like, join the Knights Council there.
Mm.
It's like, that's how you get connected. That's how you start learning. That's how, because the Knights are always involved with parish events. That's how you know what's going on in the parish. Knights of Columbus meetings will tell you, like, people, like, every council loves when a new member shows up. So they'll
Yeah.
obviously talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the first thing I was like, go to the Knights Council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really smart because, like, putting yourself in those situations, you can get connected with people,
Yeah.
and like, like if you're with a bunch of men in a council, you'll probably talk business.
Yeah.
So it's like it's an open channel you can tune in on with other
Mhm.
people, and it's not like you're trying to pry into people like, hey, what should I know about this place? Any job openings or anything?
Yeah.
They're like, we'll tell you everything. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, this man's looking for work. He's looking for this position, whatever.
Right. Right.
It's so cool because you don't have to be like trying to open the door. It's already there. For you.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it's just like, I need a place to stay. Do you know of anyone who like could get me connected to like a realtor? Dude, like,
Yeah.
all this whole network, man. And like, and then there's just a good chance that you'll do business with more Catholics, right? Because like if I'm a guy and I know there's a Catholic realtor nearby and somebody's looking for a house, then I'll send him to that guy, right? So
Yeah.
it's just so good for the church. And I think it was like St. John Paul the Great that was like the Knights of Columbus is the strong right arm of the church. right?
Oh,
Something like
really?
that. He says it's something really cool. He was a big fan of the Knights, which is awesome. But yeah, to work with the right arm of the church is um has been, yeah, like I can't say it enough. Just I'm so grateful for the opportunity that I have with them. And it's super difficult, man. And this is
Yeah.
making those phone calls or doing what
Right.
needs to be done it's a hustle, it's a grind, and
Yeah.
it's it's not just motivation that gets me to do it every day. It's just the discipline to do it every day,
Yeah.
you know. Mm, yeah. It was gosh, I wish I knew that. I feel like it's like a Goggins quote or something.
Might have been Guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Might have been Hormozy too.
Okay.
Do you follow Alex Hormozy?
Mm-mm. Mhm.
He's a young entrepreneur.
Mm.
Um, actually show some of his books that I have from him, but
Okay, sweet. Yeah.
his thing is like, how do you give so much value that people ask you to do stuff for them?
Oh.
So it's like you just give and give and give, and then finally they'll ask like, "Hey, can I give you money now?"
Yeah.
It's like his thing is like,
Okay.
um, in TV, they figured out that you give and afford to one ask ratio. So
Mhm.
usually there's 20 minutes of advertising for 40 minutes of TV,
Okay.
10 minutes of advertising for 40 minutes of TV.
Wow.
And they figured that out over the years. It's like the perfect ratio, but he's like, I do like 30 to 1. So,
Really?
but
Mm.
the reason I mention it because he had quite like 2 times people tried to almost steal his business from him,
Okay.
and he was able to pull through it.
Mhm.
But um, yeah, he was talking a lot about like the being invisible, doing all the, it's like you're rewarded for public for what you do in private.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's like, a lot of that private is no one has any clue what you're doing. They don't really care what you're doing. They don't think what you're doing is going to work. You don't know if it's going to work. Like you're literally just playing a guessing game here. You're really
Yeah.
hoping it's going to turn into something.
Yeah. Yeah. Where you're investing a lot of yourself into your clients, right? Yeah.
Mm,
No, that's very true. That's very true.
mm,
Because I mean, I've just seen that with like the members that I work with, where somebody's just like, I just want to change the beneficiary on my policy. Well, they get it just a case can get like really complicated, and I go and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do that for you, or where it's just like I feel like I'm a waiter,
Yeah.
or like they actually know what they want. They're like, sell me $1 million in term, and I'm like, okay, I'll sell you $1 million in term. Like I'll do what you ask, like I'll put that time in. You'll see how good I am at being a waiter,
Yeah.
so that you're just kind of like, oh wait, but you're also an expert in what you're doing. So yeah, it's been good. You were saying in how do you have any haters? Do you have any ops in your business at the moment? Like
Oh,
any real doubters? Yeah,
I have doubters.
yeah.
I don't know if I've come across actual. Well, we have. Yeah.
Mm,
I mean, we've gotten some pretty mean comments on the podcast.
really?
Yeah.
Is there haters on the
Yeah,
pod, dude?
haters on the
Oh
pod.
snap.
God knows. Mostly it's doubt for Lifeline. Like most people are just like, you're never gonna make that work.
Mm,
But I did hear this cool thing.
yeah,
Do you know Andrew Huberman?
I have. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, yep.
Uh-huh.
So he was talking about now I don't know how grounded it is, but
Yeah.
he was saying that there's a pattern that seems like when people encourage you to the goals that you're trying to set for yourself,
Mhm.
it may actually prevent you from getting to them more than if people are hating on you.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
so
you want to prove the
wow.
haters
Oh
wrong,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
It,
Improve
is,
your own
is,
doubt wrong.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. I like
I
that.
thought that's pretty cool. I mean, I don't
Because
think
I guess there's like pressure, right? When you have all these people
yeah.
kind of like rooting for you, like that kind of like builds up this pressure, kind of puffs you up, and then but then if you're kind of like the underdog,
Yeah.
if you're the underdog to yourself even,
Mhm.
and like because all these other people are speaking to this already self-doubt that's present in yourself. Yeah, because I hate hearing like doubters, even though you have moments, right? You know, for yourself.
Yeah.
When you hear from somebody else, dude, it's different, dude.
It is different. It's like fires you up. You're like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
bro.
come on, like
Uh-huh.
let's fight."
Uh-huh. And I think that's, yeah, and I think I mentioned that earlier where I was just like that abundance mentality is really helps
Yeah.
with that. Where it's just like where, somebody told me like I could sit down with somebody and talk about Knights of Columbus just as an organization, not even let's like you should have life insurance, but just here's what Knights of Columbus is. Dude, there are people who do not care, like Catholics,
Mm,
Catholic guys do not care, do not want to hear about it. So I'm like, okay. And then I leave that meeting and I'm just like, dang, dude, not a good meeting. But for every one person that doesn't care, there are 10 praying that we have a conversation
Yeah.
about that, you know?
right. That's such a good way to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been it helps with it, what you were saying, like, not taking it personally, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's something in them. They've got something going on. They're caught up in their own stuff. Like it's
Yeah.
all good.
Mhm.
It's you gotta handle rejection. Gotta handle rejection well. It's I don't really like the I like to say it's a numbers game, but I don't like, it's not like I think of people as numbers,
Right.
but it's just like it's ones and zeros. It goes to statistics,
Yep.
right? Like one is, yeah, they're interested, and zeros, no, they're not interested. So it's just ones and zeros, you're just plugging away. And Ryan was telling me that this was something his general agent told him was, this isn't very original. It was just like, your success in what you do is governed by how many no's you can handle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, true.
yeah. Yeah. Cause you can get so discouraged and then you just stop working.
Yeah.
But if you can just let it just roll off your back and you go next, like, yeah, that's perseverance, you know?
Yeah.
But that's a hard virtue to learn. Yeah.
It is.
Gosh, yeah. Been awesome, man. Been awesome. Been very fulfilling. From, just being able to get families coverage or all the way until like somebody has passed away and it's just kind of processing that claims paperwork. And like I love everyone that I've talked to, like and at the end of the like I pray for them every day, and hopefully I see them all in heaven someday. Be
Yeah.
really cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something else you're mentioning is like, if they're not interested.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned him before, but Grant Cardone. You heard of Grant Cardone?
Yeah, you had mentioned that to me before. Yeah, yeah.
So he talks about like being not interested is technically still an interest. So,
Oh.
so he's like, there's a level of interest there. They're just,
Yeah.
they don't want to hear about it, but there's still an interest.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they know enough that they don't want it.
Right,
So
right.
it's like,
So they know something.
they know something.
Yeah.
So his
Uh-huh.
his sales team, they're like, they will not let up on you. Like he
Mm.
said, he's called businesses for 13 years, and then they finally sign up, and they're like his best customer.
Wow, dude.
So he's like, look, rejection is gonna happen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like I don't know if you've heard this stat, but usually a person needs to see you or your product 5 to 12 times before they buy it.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's just that repetition of like always being there.
Yeah.
And finally be like, well, if he's this persistent, then he's gotta have something to offer me.
There's something of value there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
Uh,
cool because the
mhm.
first time you think of like the first no, you're like, oh, like,
I guess that's it.
yeah. But really, it's like, well, it's almost like you're telling the other person that they don't know what's best for themselves. You're
Mhm.
telling them that you know what's best for them, and they don't like to hear that.
Yeah.
But if you present to them enough of your knowledge, and they're like, oh, this person does know enough.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think part of me, and this was true while I was at school, was I was like I don't want to say a perfectionist because I really wasn't, but there were things that I like cared about when like it was known to other people. I don't know what that is. But like
Mm.
so here what it was I was so afraid of being so bad at presenting a Euclid prop that I studied the crap out of Euclid. Like
Mm.
I would the idea of like going up to the board and not knowing what's going on was so scary to me. And like there were props I obviously did better than other props, right? But like I don't know. And like I was so afraid of turning in a paper late. Like
Mm.
I always had page count like the day before. And
Mm.
like I it was just like this, I was so afraid of like my image in like my teacher's eyes or like my peers' eyes for sucking at Euclid or getting turning in a paper late, you know. That
Yeah.
those are the things I decided to care about, right? And like and kind of that was a hard mental leap for me in what I do. It was like that first like call session where I'm trying to call 20 people and then like the first three people told me to like get lost was like okay and it was just and like yeah my first few like call sessions with clients was like did not go well because of that and but yeah I think that's yeah one of the many gifts I've gotten out of my role is being able to work on that a little bit where it's just
Mhm.
like yeah not take it personally. It's really not personal. Like
No.
it's like
Yeah.
it's but for some reason it was, you know? And like, yeah, I guess even doing a little bit of reflection, it's just like, I mean, it's cool I turned in all my papers on time, but also like, I don't know, like knowing what I know now, just like chatting, like a lot of the teachers are my friends now. We have conversations like they would not have cared.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like
Yeah.
they would think less of me because my paper was 24 hours late, right?
Yeah.
I would just get a worse grade, you know,
Yeah.
and like I
Yeah.
knew that, right? Or something like, so it's not personal, you know, or like
Mhm.
just because I didn't present the prop or didn't know the prop, it's just because it's not personal, dude. Like people
Yeah.
are gonna leave the classroom and they're gonna forget about that, you know.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's yeah, that and that was something I tried to tell um like current students, like
Mm.
when I was working at the coffee shop. I was just like, dude, because like I know when you're like in the thick of it, in the thick of college, just like curriculum is hard, trying to build good routines is hard, trying to have good friendships is hard. Like you're weighing so many awesome things and it can be a lot.
Oh
That
yeah.
there are some things where it's just like, man, I'm convinced that this teacher has it out for me, bro. And I'm like, I can tell you right now, they do not have the time to have it out for you.
No. Yeah.
Like, but they don't, you know, they don't believe me. Or they're like, that's fine. But just like, man, this teacher or you know, so and so, I think they just want me to fail out of here. And I'm like, bro, there is no way that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy the things that like the kind of like mental ruts we put ourselves in.
It
That
is
way.
interesting.
It's just like we get stuck in this like, yeah, because that's all it was with like, you know, Euclid or paper writing or calling clients. It's just like it's this like rut that you just gotta get out of.
Mm-hmm.
And you're only going to do that by doing it more, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah.
yeah.
That is
Crazy.
interesting. Like
Mhm.
the mental traps we put ourselves in.
Yeah.
I think it's because, who said this, but it's like we want a framework of control.
Mm.
Oh, another guy, Ed Milet.
Mhm.
He was talking about how we set ourselves up for self-sabotage with self-doubt because if we predict that the future is going to be bad for us, we're still in control of it, which
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
very powerful. It's like, whoa, it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, like you could make it better and you could fail, but at least you're trying.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
intentionally know you can make it worse and you're expecting it to be worse,
Mm.
it was like this self pride of like, oh, I control my own destiny, even though it
Yeah.
makes it worse.
Right. Right. Yeah. Without getting too like new agey with like, there is something to what you are telling yourself in the moment,
Yeah.
you know? Like, like that abundance mentality. Like I know that there are 10 people that are praying that I call them. There may or may not be, right? But
Oh
like,
yeah.
but like
But probably.
you have to tell yourself that there are, you
Yeah.
know, to keep going,
Yeah.
right? Because if I tell myself there are 10 people that hate my guts and don't ever want to have to deal with the Knights of Columbus ever, that's not going to help me make comments.
No.
You
Not
know,
at all.
you have to tell yourself the right things. You have to
Yeah.
be positive, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Well, yeah, it's like,
and that's not just for what you're doing, like for work. That's what you're doing. You got to do that for life too.
yeah,
It's like going to the gym is so hard, but
Mhm.
it's and there are some like it's just some days where, but you got to be like, no, like Dane 1 year from now is going to be so glad he went to the gym today,
yeah,
right? Like it's investing in yourself long term.
yeah,
And we're not, that's not what society wants for you. Like they don't want you to be thinking like longevity, like don't take care of your future self. Even like Dane as a student wasn't really looking out for Dane as a student, like
yeah,
I could write a page of my paper today so that, 4 days from now I don't have to work so hard. Or I could do my reading right now so that I don't have to like be scrambling to do the reading right before class,
yeah.
But
Mhm,
now it's like taking that and applying it to your life. The
mhm,
things that I'm doing today are going to pay dividends on my life later, right?
mhm.
Like they literally do in the case of life insurance.
Yeah.
But then like yeah, taking the time to build good habits.
Mhm.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's so interesting. It's like perspective changes because, like, uh, we're ultimately made for the longest lasting thing. And in life here, we have lots of different long lasting things.
Yeah.
And so it's like learning how to sacrifice the small thing you have now for the long thing in the future,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I think the reason why that's the case is because essentially God is trying to ask us to make good decisions and choices.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the best ways to do that is to find out your hierarchy. Find out the hierarchy, you have to kind of let little things that aren't necessary for your attention just to go away.
Yeah.
Things that are sucking up your attention that are inhibiting you from what's long lasting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to keep you if you have to go, but it was a great conversation, Dane.
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
awesome, dude. This podcast is awesome. Yeah, you guys are doing great things. I'm rooting for you guys.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, you guys are doing a really good job.
If you, it'd be great to have you back on for future episodes.
Oh
So
yeah,
doors always open.
absolutely. I'd love to come back on. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is great. This is great.
I'll just do a quick outro for the listeners. Thank you all for joining us today. Hope that you gained a lot of good insights and knowledge from this conversation with Dane and Ryan today. Feel free to give us a like, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Lifeline at Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and True Social. And you can find this show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. So until next time, be good, be safe, be strong, and most importantly, be a good American. God bless.